In this video, I'm going to show you some best practices with using the URL builder. So number one, when you're building these URLs and you're using something like Facebook for the source, notice that this is case sensitive. So if you put a capital F for Facebook, that's going to be different than a lowercase f. Different things that you're going to use for reporting on this data is going to look at this stuff differently. So the case does matter. So the second thing I want to show you is that you can look at some of this data inside Google Analytics. So when you set the UTM source, medium, and campaign, you can actually drill down to see some of the clicks, sessions, bounces, and things like that. And I'll show you that real quick. I'll just head over to google.com, Analytics, access it. And what you'll want to do is just find your domain, bring that up. On the left side, go to Acquisition, and then Campaigns. When this comes up, you can you'll see your campaign. That's the UTM campaign. You can see also the UTM source and the medium up here. You can drill down if you go. You can add a secondary dimension. So since we're looking at campaign, we could say acquisition and then go source by medium. So that's the secondary dimension. And then you get some other stats. But what Google Analytics is not going to do, it's not going to take this data and then tie it to your Infusionsoft contact record, by the lead source, and that's what iTracker does. But when you can get this data inside your Infusionsoft account, you can start to use the lead source ROI report that Infusionsoft has built, and then you can start doing marketing ROI. So it's really, really useful to have this data inside your Infusionsoft account. Okay, so back into the URL builder. Case matters, so I recommend everything lowercase. You can look at this stuff in Google Analytics, but it's not going to tie it back to the contact. And that's what we're shooting here for. Another thing, I only use either a hyphen or an underscore for for my characters in here. So I'm not going to put checkout iTracker space and report module. I'm not going to do that because this and is going to get URL encoded. So if I actually build this URL, watch what happens. So I'm going to take this URL. And what we're interested in is the campaign here. So I'm going to open up a text editor, paste this URL, and here's the UTM campaign out here. So the checkout iTracker, and then look at all this junk. It says 2%, 2B, percent 2B. Anyways, this is how they encoded the that part where I put an ampersand sign like that. So that's URL encoding. I don't recommend you use characters that are going to be URL encoded. iTracker will handle it, but I just don't recommend it. I recommend that you stick with either a hyphen or an underscore, something like that. If you want to use a space, that's okay. Those still get encoded, but I would recommend using an underscore instead of a space. So anyhow, that's that. We do keep a log of all these URLs. And what you can do, and by default, we take the source, medium, and campaign, and then that's how we generate the lead source. But if you wanted to override the lead source, so for instance, I just built a URL, Facebook post, and then URL builder, and I put a lead source of URL builder post on Facebook. So if I take this URL, and let's just look at it real quick in here in my text editor, if you look at all the parameters, there's nothing in here that says URL builder post on Facebook. So how does iTracker know to take this URL, and if you actually put this URL out there and somebody clicks on it and you look at the lead source that's going to get set, how does iTracker know to put the lead source as URL builder post on Facebook? Well, the way we do that is we regenerate your tracking snippet and we put a lookup table inside the JavaScript file. So at any point in time you can come back, and maybe this is running for a while, and then you can update it and say, wow, this is a really old post. So for all the new leads that are coming in now, 2 years later, I want their lead source to say old hyphen and then URL builder post on Facebook. So if that link has gotten shared and it's gotten way out there and you have no idea where it's at, but people are still clicking on it, but you kind of want to differentiate between, well, here's the people from last year, then here's the people from this year. Maybe you want to put a year number in there. I don't know, but you can do that. That's one of the cool things about the URL builder that we wrote. Okay, So you can override the lead source. You can do that. We add some little shortcut tabs up here. You don't have to use them, but in the case where you're using insertion tags on Google AdWords or Microsoft Ad Center insertion tags, we have those here for a quick reference with a little tooltip. I'll cover insertion tags in another video, but you can just stay on default and make sure you erase the lead source and then build your new URL. Down here is where we keep a log of them, and if you get a little error, a little pop-up that says, oh, you've already built this URL, just click on this show hide tip, and then I kind of explain what's going on here. Okay, so there's that. So now, what's best practices? Okay, you understand the URL builder, you understand the UTM parameters, you know that it's case sensitive, you understand the URL encoding part, you know that you can override the lead source. Okay, that's great, but what I really need help on now is how do I start building these URLs? What's best practices? What should I put in the source? What should I put in the medium? What should I put in for the campaign? And instead of going through that and spending another hour on this video, I found a really great blog post, and this guy really did a good job. So the blog post is, these are mistakes that companies use when setting the UTM parameters. And here's Pinterest, and this is a weekly email that Pinterest sends out, and here is how they set the UTM parameters. And so what the author does is he goes in and he says, here's what's good about this, and then here's what could be improved. So this is some really great stuff, and he kind of touches on some things where everything should be lowercase. It's great that they used a date when they sent this out through their email system, and yeah, I mean it's some good stuff in here, and here's some redundant information, and he's not really big on that. So there's different companies in here. Unbounce is one of them, Groupon, Gilt City, Zillow, TED, Google Offers, and anyhow, go through this blog post and read about how these big companies set their UTM parameters and come up with your own system. Make it fairly systemized so that you know that here's all my mediums for email, here's all my mediums for social or Facebook or Twitter or whatever you want to do. So get some ideas and start paying attention. If you get some links through an email and you click on it and you're like, oh, I wonder if they're setting UTM parameters and utilizing that. And if they are, look at how they set that. That way it'll give you ideas and whatnot. So I'll put this link up next to this video so that you'll have it, and it's really good information. So I hope that you've learned a little bit about what you need to know about the URL builder, and in my next videos I'm going to cover insertion tags, and I'll figure out some other topics for you. But thanks.